Welcome to Lesson 4.4, Using Cryptography to Maintain Communication Security. In your Candidate Information Bulletin, we are in the Communications and Network Security domain, and we are in Key Area of Knowledge A, which is Apply Secure Design Principles to Network Architecture. Our topics will include Internet Communications Vulnerabilities, SSL, TLS, Secure Shell, SMIME, and IPsec. So all Internet communication does rely on TCP/IP, and it may flow through multiple devices before reaching its final destination, which means that information flow is vulnerable to eavesdropping and packet capture, which is a violation of confidentiality, tampering, which is a violation of integrity, and spoofing and misrepresentation, which can be a violation of authentication, integrity, and availability. So we can use public key cryptography to address the Internet communications vulnerabilities. Encryption can be used to ensure confidentiality. Hashing can be used to ensure integrity, and digital signatures can be used to ensure non-repudiation, and digital certificates can be used to ensure authentication. We're going to take a look at some of the cryptographic protocols that you've already been introduced to see how they can secure our Internet communications. First is SSL and TLS. So SSL and TLS protocol is a set of rules governing client and server authentication and encrypted communications. SSL/TLS requires the server to have an SSL digital certificate. The server authenticates itself to the client and provides its public keys. Remember that public key is used to encrypt the session key. The client and the server use symmetric key encryption to encrypt the information that's going to be exchanged in the session. The server may be optionally configured to require client-side authentication before an encrypted session can be established. Secure Shell, or SSH, is a cross-platform cryptographic protocol that establishes a secure connection between an SSH server and an SSH client, supporting asymmetric authentication, message authentication codes, and symmetric encryption. SSH is used to administer systems remotely, provide a command shell on a remote network, or tunnel other protocols. Secure Shell is a replacement for the clear text protocol of Telnet and the Unix commands of rlogin, rsh, and rsync. SFTP is a file transfer protocol that uses Secure Shell, or SSH, to transfer files. Secure Multipurpose Internet Email Extensions, or SMIME, protocol can be used to digitally sign and to encrypt email messages. SMIME requires the sender to have an SMIME digital certificate. The digital certificate is used to validate the sender and to ensure that the message has not been changed. An optional encryption ensures confidentiality. The Internet Protocol Security, also known as IPsec, is a suite of protocols that uses cryptographic security services to protect communications over an IP network. IPsec supports network-level peer authentication, data origin authentication, data integrity, and data confidentiality by using encryption, as well as protect from a replay attack. We're going to be looking at IPsec in much greater depth in subsequent lessons. Let's review what we just talked about. So our Lesson 4.4 review, recognize that there's a number of Internet communication vulnerabilities and that we can use the cryptographic protocols such as SSL and TLS, Secure Shell, SMIME, and IPsec to address those vulnerabilities. And again, these were all cryptographic protocols that you were introduced to in a previous lesson, and here we're just looking at how we would apply them to address Internet communications vulnerabilities. And just a reminder that in Lesson 4.8, we will be examining IPsec in much greater detail. So that brings us to a match the meaning. So the terms that I want to make sure that you're comfortable with, most of these you've heard in previous lessons, are eavesdropping, tampering, spoofing, SSL/TLS, SSH, SMIME, encryption, and a digital signature. So go ahead, put me on pause, take a few minutes, match up the meanings, come on back, and we'll go through them together. All right, let's go through our lesson 4.4 terms. Eavesdropping, that's when we're listening in on a conversation or we're capturing packets, is obviously a violation of confidentiality. Tampering, whenever we tamper with a message or we tamper with any data that's in transit, would be a violation of integrity. Spoofing, when we pretend to be someone else or do an act of impersonation, that's going to be a violation of authenticity. These are all attacks and issues that we can encounter in our internet communications. SSL TLS is a secure client-server communications. SSH is a secure telnet replacement. Now these two are interesting because you might have answered that SSH was secure client-server communications, which would be true, assuming we have an SSH client and an SSH server. Often in your examination, you're going to be asked to choose the best answer. And in this case, the best answer, as we match these up for SSH, was a secure telnet replacement. SMIME we can use to digitally sign email. Encryption is used always to ensure confidentiality. And a digital signature is an MD or a message digest that's been encrypted with a public key. So let's end this lesson with going through our CISSP exam tips. The first is SSH requires an SSH server and an SSH client. That secure shell is a replacement for clear text telnet. And then for the commands of rlogin, rsh, and rsync, that an SSL server may be optionally configured to require client-side authentication. So thanks for joining me for this lesson, and I look forward to seeing you in the next.